Hi there, and welcome to Heard Online number one, a brand new type of episode where we discuss articles and things we've heard online here on the channel, or maybe not. Let me explain. So, actually, the first thing I want to ask you is your input here. My idea is that after the adrenaline rush episode from last week, it dawned upon me that this could be an interesting type of episode where we would take something you've heard online, some article or something like that, and we review it here on the channel. And I've had that idea before with what I call journal club, but that was more looking at like scientific articles. But it all kind of became baked into the insomnia insight, type of episode. So the first question for you here is: should this be another type of episode and a playlist of its own where we kind of review things online? What do you think? And if so, what should we name this type of episode? I call this Heard Online number one. I toyed around with Journal Club, but nothing that I think is really fantastic. So anyway, super interested to hear about your thoughts on this. So please let me know in the comment section. Okay, that was number one. Now, what's this episode about? What are we doing here today? Well, this is what happened. A few days ago, I believe it was last week actually, I got a message on Instagram from Chelsea who said the following: Hi, I just looked up your Set It and Forget book on Amazon after someone I follow on YouTube recommended it. Please, could you tell me, does it tackle revenge, sleep, procrastination? And when I read this, I was like, revenge, sleep, procrastination. I've heard a lot, but I have never heard of that. So I actually replied to Chelsea that I don't know. I said I'm not sure because I had never heard that. But I asked like, so what have you heard? Where do you come across this? And then Chelsea sent me a link to an article, and that article is what I really want to review with you today. Let's take a look at it. So we are now heading over to the Sleep Foundation's website. And this is an article that is actually called not Revenge Sleep, actually. It's actually called, well, in this context anyway, Revenge Bedtime Procrastination. What is that? And I actually immediately realized what they were talking about when I started reading. So let's read together. Revenge bedtime procrastination describes the decision to sacrifice sleep for leisure time that is driven by a daily schedule lacking in free time. For people in high-stress jobs that take up the bulk of their day, revenge bedtime procrastination is a way to find a few hours of entertainment, even though it results in insufficient sleep. Although revenge bedtime procrastination can be tempting in the moment, late nights followed by early mornings can directly lead to serious sleep deprivation. Cutting back on sleep can have significant negative effects on mental, physical, emotional health with short and long-term consequences. Understanding sleep procrastination, blah, 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 is important. So right off the bat, it became very clear to me what they're talking about here. And I was honestly so triggered. I was so upset, to be honest with you, when I saw this. I was like, what are they talking about here? Imagine someone who has a demanding job. They're really working hard, and they only get home like 6:30, and they have to they're usually going to bed like at this or this time, and this is the only time during the day where this person has a little time to enjoy some Netflix, maybe play some online chess, just have some me time with themselves, just watching some show they like, some like. And now the sleep foundation is saying, no, you can't do that. That's not good for you. You shouldn't do that. I mean, it was so sadistic, honestly. That's what I felt when I read this. Like, this is so you know, this is so inhuman, And then, it even kind of gets worse than that, in my opinion, which is that there's this gaslighting like component here, because the way they describe this is as if they're saying that you're taking revenge, because you didn't have time during the day. Then you try to get revenge by getting some time for yourself in the evening, and that actually hurts yourself even more. So you're actually hurting yourself more than you're helping yourself by doing something that you love and enjoy, right? So they're trying. It's a real mind twister here. In reality, I think it is so obvious that if you have a demanding job, maybe you have kids, maybe you have something to do, you have so many things to do, and you have a little time for yourself. Of course, you should give that time for yourself. Of course, you should do something you enjoy, like watching some Netflix, watching a show you enjoy, whatever you like. That is your time. And you know, the idea here is that somehow you can go, no, I'm not going to give myself that time. I'm going to sleep now, and then somehow that's going to like improve your quality of life. We'll go back to this article and see where they kind of completely misunderstand kind of the psychology of sleep, if you will. So after a little mini rant there, let's go back here and check out just one more part of this article. Most of it, I think, we've heard so many times before. We don't need to go over it again. But here they say, like, okay, how do I prevent sleep procrastination? They say keeping a consistent bedtime and wake up time, avoiding alcohol or caffeine. So the first one, keeping a consistent wake up time, that may not be so problematic. I think, most of us get up about the same time every morning. But then, having a consistent bedtime, like saying I have to be in bed by this time, I think that creates a lot of pressure. I think it's much better to keep that fuzzy. And, if you like going to bed at the same time every night, that's great. But if you don't, then that's fine too, right? No, the less pressure we have to sleep, the easier we sleep, the better we sleep, the better we feel, right? So then they go avoiding alcohol or caffeine late in the afternoon or evening, stopping the use of electronic devices, including cell phones and tablets, for at least half an hour, ideally longer before bed. And you can see that that's basically like saying you can have no fun. You can have no fun in the evening. And what I guess they don't understand is like the more pressured you feel to sleep, the more you're like, I gotta sleep, the less you're gonna sleep, right? The less you're gonna sleep. And finally, the last thing I'm going to is like they say, creating an inviting bedroom environment that is dark and quiet. How inviting is that? Some people maybe, but if you've had a long day and you finally are looking for some time that you can do whatever you want, do you really want to lie down in a cold car like a sensory deprivation chamber? Like how inviting is that? Honestly, right? So yeah, I was kind of triggered by this article, and Chelsea, I hope this gives a little bit more context. And now, you know, what I love to do here next is just to sort of like play devil's advocate to say, okay, why would the Sleep Foundation like publish something like this? Why did they even push like this kind of this terminology, And I've been in enough interactions with people, particularly on Twitter, to I think have a good idea of what they would say. They would say something like this: "Well, this article is not for somebody who has insomnia. This is not for somebody who has trouble sleeping, because that's totally different. This is for somebody who is, like curtailing their sleep, but they don't understand how important it is to sleep, something like that. That's what they would say, because they have this idea that there are like millions and millions of people out there who are sleeping less than they should, and they don't understand what an impact this has on their quality of life, and we need to tell them to sleep more so that they sleep more and they feel better. And to me, that has never rung true. That has just never rung true to me, because just intuitively, that if somebody is like not sleeping as much as they would like to sleep, that is either because they have obligations. They literally have obligations that are like maybe work, maybe kids, that just keep them from sleeping more. And if you tell somebody like that who works two jobs and has small kids that you need to sleep more, that person is just going to slap you. They're going to be so upset. They're going to be like, why are you telling me that? I know that, but I can't. I have all these obligations, right? So that's the first kind of avatar. And the second one is some like, to stereotype here, we're going to say like, a teenager who loves playing like Fortnite, right? And they stay up playing Fortnite instead of sleeping, and they feel a bit tired during the following day, but they still prefer playing Fortnite. And if you tell that person like, no, you need to sleep more, it's not good for you, they're going to be like, I don't think so. I like this, like, they made that choice. Like they fully understand how they feel and how sleeping less, like they make that choice. Like, so to me, I don't think there's really anyone who needs this message, the message that the Sleep Foundation has. And so, in when I first got on social media, I believe this was in 2018. I started a Twitter account, and my my idea was to sort of like go on Twitter and tell people that this 8 hour sleep thing is a myth, and debunk a lot of myths. I came with that kind of that agenda, which I very quickly realized that was not helpful at all, because you can't make people change their minds. You can't push that on people. They just become more resistant, and nobody's happier for that. But before I had completely abandoned that sort of thinking and that sort of behavior, I was in this discussion, this type of like discussion where people are saying, but Daniel, you don't understand. Like some people need to hear this. Not somebody wouldn't tell me, but somebody else really needs to hear this. And I'm like, I don't believe that. So I was like, okay, let's do a study. Okay, I heard about like Amazon, like Mechanical Turk, where you can basically just pay people to fill out a survey for you. And I was like, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do a study on this, and then I'm going to go back on Twitter and show them what we found. So I called it like this, the Twitter Sleep Communities Survey or something like that. And I'm going to share with you the results from this study, which I just dug up the other day. So I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to go into my mailbox, which is here. And I had like 3 questions. And so I'll share, I'll kind of save the one that I thought really, that really struck with me for last. So the first one question I had, it was like, how much sleep does a healthy adult need? And there was 109 people, just random people on Amazon who just answered this. So the options were like 4 to 6, 5 to 7, 6 to 8, 7 to 9, 8 to 10 hours. And here we have percentage down here. So we can see that almost 50% of respondents said that a healthy adult needs like 6 to 8 hours of sleep. Something like almost 40% said 7 to 9 hours. So we can say that 90% or so answered like basically between 6 to 9 hours, and a very small minority, maybe like 4% or something like that, maybe 3% said 4 to 6 hours. And what I always teach is that there is no like it's kind of like shoe size. There's no one size fits all. But the point here is that that most people kind of out there in the community believe that adults need uh, more than 6 hours of sleep. And if you look at studies like what is the correct answer here, I don't think there is a correct answer because the question wasn't ideally put. But when objectively measured, most people sleep about 6 hours. So this one, like 5 to 7 hours, would be, in my opinion, kind of like the most correct, if anything. But the point here was just that to say that most people already believe that you need to sleep, a lot, right? That's the prevailing idea out in the community. So going back to the Sleep Foundation, like you don't need to push that because that's already where people believe. And then there was another question which was, could sleeping more than needed cause health problems? And you can see that almost 80% said yes. Almost 80% of the respondents thought that sleeping more than needed could cause health problems. Uh, a small minority said no, and a bunch of people said not sure. Okay, and now this one really struck me, which was, could sleeping less than needed cause health problems? Yes. One person said no. Out of 109, yeah, one person said no, and one person said I'm not sure. So that means that out of 109, 107 people said yes, no question, yes. And those other two, they were probably just mouth slips. So again, my point here is that if you're making the case that we need to educate people that sleep is important and you need to sleep a lot, well, that's already what people think. That is what people think already. So in my humble opinion, you really don't need to tell people that, because who are listening to that message? Well, the people like Chelsea, who has had some struggle sleeping. And those are the people who hear this message and who get bombarded with like, you need to sleep more, and this whole guilt thing, like, you're a failure if you don't get enough sleep, you should do some that. Those are the recipients of this message of, for example, revenge, bedtime, procrastination. So hope this made sense to you. I hope this was just not all ranting, but there was some value here. And yes, as always, thoughts are super welcome in the comment section, especially of like, should this be another type of episode in a playlist? And what should we call it? If so, let me know what you think, and we shall go from there. For now, just take it easy, and I'll look forward to having you back soon. Bye now.